photo, I wanted to share that so these photos today, because this sums up my life. On the right here, you see a picture, and this is my camp where my family used to take us when we were younger, and we all would go out there as brothers and sisters and live off the land. And my parents would take me out of school to harvest, and we'd spend every summer here, from when I was a baby till I moved when I was 15 years old. We spent a lot of time out there, which has really kept me where I am today, because had it not been for being raised off the land and knowing the things that I know, I don't think I'd be where I am today. So I really, I hold a lot to Mother Earth, and I appreciate her so much, and my family for giving me the opportunity of learning that and knowing that and coming from there. A little story of our cabin is we used to have to wash in a tin bucket, and didn't matter. And then when we got older, it didn't matter if it was cold out, you had to go in the lake to shower. Just didn't matter. And we washed our clothes on the washboard, and we had a wringer. My mom had this like antique wringer. We would dry our clothes like that. And then also we had Mushkegawak as our band represents us, and they took us out a lot when we were younger. We used to go to Fort Albany and Saskatchewan and Attawapiskat, and we travel all the First Nations through Mushkegawak, where we would sit with elders and do ceremonies and harvesting, hunting. They would teach us how to, harvest fish under the ice with a net, and like all these beautiful, lovely things that I was so grateful growing up and knowing. And learning the language was also like a really big part. I actually learned three different languages growing up. It was a little confusing, but it was good. Keeping the connection alive in my workplace, I always try to, every job that I do brings me back to my childhood. Like everything that I know is from when I grew up as a child. I started working at a very young age. I wasn't into school like most people. Actually, a lot of people aren't nowadays, I noticed. It's just the way of teaching now. We went to school in the Sioux, and then from there I moved to Missinabie, and I cleaned cabins for a bit. I got boarded out to Wawa for school, and I ended up having to work and basically provide for myself at a very young age. And then from there I went back home, and I ended up getting a job as a prospector, and I had this super great connection to the land, and my boss took me out and he taught me everything I know about the geology and the land. Since then I traveled out west for a bit. I came back to school for carpentry and electrician. I got my level 1 maintenance electrician and carpentry. I didn't really care too much for that part, so I got into the Adventure Recs and Parks technician, or I graduated in 2016 with honors. And since then, I've been an environmental steward, and I studied climate change and the effects for 2 years, and still ongoing. I have worked for Wakatoan as a compliance assessor. And I also, right now, I'm a prevention and wellness worker, and I take care of the youth from Chapel Cree, and I take them out on the land, and I also do canoe trips and guiding and canoeing, canoe rescue, all these things. My goal is to spread the knowledge of Mother Earth and how to respect her to the next generation, so to keep her alive and well for many years to come. So I'm going to start off with the reason why we're all here today, but I'm just going to move this. As everyone knows, the Mother Earth provides us with trees, and trees provide us with oxygen, as everyone knows. Carbon is natural. We exhale carbon. Decaying trees give off carbon, dead animals, wildlife, feces. Plants and trees inhale carbon and they exhale oxygen. Everything Mother Earth does, she does for a reason. These we call cycle of life. Cycles have a way of connecting with everything, including humans. Women have a cycle every month. It's all works in together. Harvesting medicines. This is a big one. Our people were raised on teachings, and one of them was respect. So when we would take something from Mother Earth, we would always give back to her, whether it be tobacco or your hair, because most of the time I don't have tobacco on me. We honor her with that, and we say thanks for giving us all these beautiful things, and she provides us with so much. Mother Earth, she grows all types of food and medicines for us and provides for us and has been for many, many years. It comes from trees, plants, leaves, bark, and fungi. Anything that is living has a spirit, and that's something that we were all raised upon. Trees have a spirit. Most that have lived longer than all of us, and they've seen a lot more than we have. Harvesting chaga, this is a big one because trees, they give us an opportunity to teach our young ones, the value of trees and what they're here for, and they love that, and it gives us a way to get back to our connection to our land and our culture. Harvesting food, we use, not only does the trees provide habitat for the food we eat, but it also provides guidance. So when the tamarack turns yellow, the whitefish are running. When you're in the bush and you see the north side of the trees growing further than the south side, that way's north. Like the trees, they have these beautiful ways. Harvesting berries. So this was taken 3 years ago. I have never seen the berries this good in a long time. But trees, what they do is, like, right now you'll see berries across a field, but because there's no trees, they're not getting the protection they need from the sun. And with global warming, they're basically frying up and dying. So it's been a good 2 years since we're able to pick any or harvest any. Trees are healing. They provide so much more than what people think. And most of you probably know this, like, when you walk in the bush and you just kind of feel like pretty amazing. You feel that connection. You feel alive. Well, that's the connection we as humans have with the land. And a lot of people use the trees for guidance and wisdom. And, you live in the big city, you hug a tree just to reconnect yourself. Because there's so much concrete, so many buildings. This is my daughter. She's holding a birch tree, and she understands, how good they are for us and what they provide and the love that they have. This tree alone actually provided us with some chaga, and we drink chaga pretty often in our family. A lot of medicines. Again, with connecting with the land, you touch the soil, you touch the trees, Mother Earth. This is how we reconnect. We use the trees. As I say many times, you're going to keep hearing this, but trees guide us without even speaking. Some days when you're not feeling, yourself, or you need to talk to somebody, guess who's there? That tree. And you just go in the bush and you walk along wherever you are. You just walk along and you find a tree that you feel like, hey, I can connect with this tree, and I feel like this tree has a lot of wisdom. Like for this tree, and as an example, I was looking for guidance on strength because I was having a really hard time at work. And so I went out into the bush, and my dog picked this tree for me. And I found the birch coming through the cedar, like as you could see it. And then also the cedar has 3 shoots coming out of her. So she's got 4 trees that she is providing for. And I think that was like very beautiful. And I was able to connect with her, and she helped me in so many more ways. And my dog, because he was super happy after that. The Boreal Forest is essential to the lives and the cultural. Hang on a second, I need to move this. And the cultural practices to over 1 million Indigenous peoples. Culture and ceremony or gathering, we honor everything. We honor the universe. We honor the four-winged. We honor the swimmers, the four-legged, the gilled ones, the microorganisms. You know, everything works together. Just the other day, I found a microorganism that is like a green blob, and what it does is it eats small algae and bacteria. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, you know, Mother Earth put them there for a reason. Although logging provides us homes today, there is always a limit when it comes to harvesting. Our people live nomadic lives, moving where the berries grew strong, where the water was nearby, where the trees provided them shelter from the wind, the rain, and the sun. We used to use birch trees as to build canoes. And we didn't just cut the trees and leave, we would cut them and we would grow more. We would grow back those birch. So when they're old enough, they'll be big enough for the children to pick and build their own canoes. They always thought of the future generations. Everything our people did was to keep our future, you know, in good tech and good health. We always think of our children's future. Yeah. What will be left, you know, when is enough is enough. Our people say that once an area sprayed is an area tainted, and it all starts with the health of the soil. So you take that away, you're taking a piece of that cycle. And the spray doesn't just stay in that one area, you know, it goes off into our groundwater systems, it goes off into the swamps and into the marshlands, and it goes all through her veins that we call as Indigenous peoples her blood, like her bloodline. You know, you put a dam in her veins, she's gonna get sick. It taints a wide area, and it isn't good for our ecosystem. Being a compliance assessor, I've been in the field and I've seen what they do and how they do it, and I know there's different companies and different ways of doing things, but I've seen a lot of wood left behind, and I know that you're supposed to take anything 10 centimeters or more. So when I find stuff like this, it kind of makes me sad, you know, because our people for so long always used everything that we took, everything. And when we didn't, it was just greed then. They called that greed. There was no debates, you know, they harvested everything. Same with the moose. When we harvest it, we harvest the tongue, we harvest the hooves, we harvest the hide that provides us clothing and protection and shelter. You know, we use the muscle lining for tissue or for sinew to do crafts and arts and birch baskets. We use everything for everyday life needs. Our people over and over again see this, and it's almost like disheartening to walk into the field. And like just the other day, I went to my camp and it's all log back there, down in Chapel here. So you know, like how we treat our body. Why is Mother Earth any different? You know, like why do we keep doing this to her? The trees provide us support. You know, they have a root system that prevents mudslides and floods. Actually, a cool fact, did you know that if an area floods, all of the trees, they'll go dormant, except for like they'll go into hibernation. And so when that area comes back, they'll be living again. It'll just be like hibernation. But tamarack, they don't give up. They find air, they grow their roots up to 50 feet to get air to continue that cycle. You know, they're strong, they're like humans, they're fighters. We don't live alone, you know, we share this land with these animals, and trees provide them with habitat, and we, you know, we have to share this land with them, so we have to provide for them as well. The more we cut, the more impact we are on Mother Earth. You know, you can grow back black spruce and jack pine, and that isn't, you know, really the answer, because there was more to that was there when you left it. You know, it's not, it's unnatural, and animals, they won't go back to that. You know, yeah, here's a video of like the moose.
There might not be sound, but we can still see the video.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just I heard it in the beginning, but there's always an issue with doing videos on PowerPoint.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, well, here's another one. The Boreal, you good? Can you see it?
We can see it, we just can't hear anything, but we did in the beginning.
This one doesn't have a volume.
Okay.
So right now, where the moose they're declining, you know, and logging is pushing them further up north, where they're able to provide for themselves. And the Boreal Forest is made up of different species that accommodate wildlife in their habitat. It's part of the Mushkegowuk territory. The wetland alone is this world's second largest carbon sink and the third largest wetland. It holds billions and billions of tons of carbon. Yeah, next slide here. Each year, clear cutting across the Boreal Forest releases more than 26 million metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That's more than the annual emissions of some entire countries. Indigenous people have lived off and cared for the Canadian Boreal Forest. They've seen firsthand how logging alters the character of the forest, you know, the wildlife, they don't return. They have been stewards of the forest for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, you know, so it's a long time. The rate at which a growing baby tree can pull carbon out of the air is not matching the pace of clear cutting. There's no comparison. These new forests are not reclaiming all the very old carbon that was released with ancient soils turned over during logging. Replanting doesn't cancel out these emissions. Here's a beautiful natural forest, homelands. You know, if trees were gone, we would not be able to breathe. It's as simple as that. And this is from an 8-year-old. Logging is the largest impact on the Boreal Forest. In 20 years, 25.4 million acres are now logged. My idea of changing the ways is not harvesting logs anymore. There's alternatives, you know, and right here there's bamboo and hemp to replace those things, and I'm sure we can come up with other things with the technology we have today. There is no alternative to oxygen and water. Quick.